Ladies and gentlemen, matter of fact, I don't believe that Volodymyr Zelensky is working in the interests of the Ukrainians any longer. When you look at the way the fight is going, when you look at the dynamic of the combat in Ukraine, I don't think that Volodymyr Zelensky is working in the interest of the Ukrainians. They've taken too much damage at this point. You see women without legs who had legs. According to what we heard, that there was a time ago where Russians were picking pregnant women on the battlefield. They were not even fighting, they were just surrendering. They were forced just to have bodies on the front line. And that's crazy. What you see on the mainstream media, you see, Ibrahim Traore had made us understand that the mainstream media is a body of lies. I'm going to show you how they recruit people in Ukraine. Watch this video.
As the war in Ukraine enters another year, a quiet but widespread resistance is taking root. Not on the battlefield, but in homes and communities. Across the country, families are protecting young men from forced conscription, with many seeing the conflict as no longer theirs, but a war serving Western agendas. In cities like Kharkiv and Lviv, residents are warning each other about recruiters, hiding draft-age men, and even stopping enlistment raids. "We're not dying for NATO," one man said anonymously. While the government insists mobilization is necessary to resist Russian aggression, many Ukrainians now view the prolonged war as a political game, costing them lives and futures. The growing defiance reveals more than war fatigue. It reflects a deepening mistrust in leadership as the pressure on Kyiv mounts from both outside and within.
This battle is lost. And when Vladimir Putin said that the Ukrainian Nazis, talking about Zelensky and his cohort, that they are more interested in power than in the interest and the safety of the citizens, that's absolutely true. A matter of fact, I won't lie to you, when Russia said they were going to retaliate, when Vladimir Putin had that call with the president of the United States, Donald Trump, when he said that there was going to be retaliation, guess what? I don't think the retaliation is coming against Ukraine. I think Ukraine is too close. I think if this nuke Ukraine, I think the blast radius will be so bad to the point that Russians will be equally affected, because they are like neighbors. So I think the only reason why Russia has not swept through Ukraine easy with a nuclear war, that would have been easy, is because the electromagnetic radius is going to equally affect the Russians. You ain't no hiding from that. So, and as you can see, Sumy has fallen. Kherson is down. Look at the government building in Kherson, and according to what we heard, a lot of people died. Top government official. I feel like with the rate and the pace at which the Russians are going in Ukraine, they might consume the entire territory of Ukraine. Matter of fact, that's how I feel. Because once you break down Sumy, the next place is Kiev. That now, according to what we're hearing, the whole Sumy is under the range of, drone attack. And the Ukrainians are severely outnumbered in this battle. Russians are winning. Now, I think Vladimir Putin is not really intentional about destroying Ukraine. I think they are interested in, like, okay, we want to bring down this Nazis regime. I think that's the goal. Keeping the Ukrainian citizens as safe as possible, but making sure they denazify Ukraine. But I think that warning that there's going to be severe consequences and there's going to be retaliative response, I think the person they are talking about here is the United Kingdom.
The Chief of General Staff suggested we could be involved in a conflict with a major nuclear power in about 2 years. Are we in that sort of margin? The report isn't quite clear.
Well, let me be absolutely clear. That is not what I want to see, and everything we're doing is designed to avoid that. But we have to be clear that Russia has ambitions. We've already seen that in Ukraine. Well, we need to be ready and ramp up as quickly as possible to be in a state with our allies to make sure that collectively we can defend ourselves and Europe. And I think that is urgent, it is important. That's why I set out the review. I said to the reviewers, I want to know what the risk is now, what our capabilities are now, and whether we've got the capability to match those risks.
But you say it's urgent, but just now in a press conference you said you hope to get to 3% of GDP spending on defence, subject to economic conditions. So there seems to be a mismatch between the rhetoric and then what you're actually promising.
Well, I think let's put that in its perspective. We won the election last year saying we would take defence spending to 2.5% within the Parliament. We then fast forwarded that to 2027, 2028, that 2.5%. We've already spent 5 billion more under this government on defence than before, and that extra spend will be 13 billion in 2027 over and above what we're spending.
None of it quite matches the rhetoric. You're talking, the report is talking about major conflict on our doorstep, potentially within a very short number of years, but you'll increase defence spending subject to economic conditions, presumably subject to the Office for Budget Responsibility, all the normal sort of bookkeeping things. We're in a new era, as you say. Doesn't that mean a quantum leap in policy?
What you've already seen is the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War. So that's already happened under the first year of this Labour
But from
government.
a hollowed-out defence,
From a hollowed-out
which the report talks
from
about.
a hollowed-out defence, so we're moving at pace, faster than I think most people expected.
You all don't get it. I think you all must have been hearing different things. I think that retaliation is going directly to the United Kingdom. You can see that Keir Starmer recently, he has not been proactive in the talking about the combat with Russia. Now they're talking about defense capabilities and all of that. I'm telling you, the United Kingdom, according to what we heard, has been knee deep in this whole suicide attack on the civilians and every other thing. The train attack, the airfield attack and everything, according to Russia deep base, they said the people that are really super involved in this, Russia believes that it is more of the British MI6 activity than is for the Ukrainian. So when you look at that attack, even the code name Operation Spider Web, according to what we are hearing, Operation Spider Web is a British thing. Look at the sign they gave to Operation Spider Web. Look at it. Look at what they called it. And I strongly believe this shit. Now, if you look at the way Keir Starmer is talking, look at the facial language. Look at him. Look at him. There is serious fear in the United Kingdom. Why should you be scared if you're not involved? And I won't lie to you. Russia would not hesitate to use the Oreshnik, because they don't have proximity to the United Kingdom.
You know, anyone that doesn't think that we're heading towards war, or we should be making preparations.
The Ukraine is not that retaliation is not for the Ukrainians. I feel they believe that Operation Spider Web is a British thing, and the retaliation is coming to Britain. You're meddle into things that are not your business. I want you all to listen to this interview by the Belarusian president and tell me how you feel in the comment section.
Well, I guess we'll move on to the BBC then, shall we? Steve Rosenberg, start, please.
What other nasty question do you have in store for me? It's always something like that.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
But how can you call these elections democratic when your most ardent opponents and rivals are either in prison or in exile?
Steve, there may be a follow-up to the question now, but I'm going to answer it so I don't forget. Who's in prison? Who's in exile? And you're here. It's the right to choose. It's democratic. We are going to build a country, and we are not going to let anyone shut us up. That's how it's going to be.
But your serious rivals are not only not allowed to take part in the elections, some of them are sitting behind bars. And there are still more than 1,200 political prisoners.
Wait, there's already been a lot of releases. That's 1,200 prisoners. You said it was the day before.
Yes, that's it.
Well, if you subtract more than 200, what's the total? Didn't you go to school? At Bricks, I remember you asked me about Kolesnikova, that she was dead, that no one was allowed in there. Frankly, you encouraged me to ask what's wrong with Maria. I was told she was fine. I even said to the press secretary, "You know Steve, don't you? See if you can tell me personally where she is, what's wrong with her." The press secretary said she was fine, and they even talked.
We have spoken to the other candidates in this election. One of them publicly...
But they're not in jail, are they?
Yes, they're not in prison. One of them even publicly supports you, your rival, the leader of the Communist Party, and the other one praises you. It's quite strange. It's a strange race, isn't it, with opponents like that?
Steve, this is a new experience for you.
Yes, I've never seen an election like this, it's true.
Because in the only country in the post-Soviet space, in Belarus, we have never persecuted any party. To your and those who are behind you, deep regret. Not even the Belarusian Popular Front. And even Zianon Pazniak, who pursues a completely different policy, and his point of view is different from mine.
It is known that neither the US, the EU, nor the UK recognize you as a legitimate president.
That's your right.
What are your hopes related to the new US administration? Do you hope that this situation will change because of US President Donald Trump?
Whether you and the European Union recognize these elections or not. Well, it's a matter of taste. Believe me, I swear to you, it is absolutely, as you say, not important whether you recognize our elections or not. The main thing for me is that the Belarusians recognize these elections and quietly end them as they began. What are you gonna do? Well, you're used to it. You were bashing Trump from morning till night before the election. As soon as Trump won the election, you crawled across the Atlantic. Who crawled, who crept on the bottom, who crept overhead. Some don't know how to crawl up to Trump today. You have a tough fate ahead, Europe, so prepare yourself. You should be worried about it. With Trump's return, Belarus may not face difficulties, but Europe certainly will. The problems have already begun for you. He told you straightforwardly, and well done. I support him in this, although not in everything. I have already mentioned this, but I support him. He said to you guys, do you want to wage war in Ukraine? So pay. Not 2%, but 5%. And you are like serpents, like grass snakes, twisting and turning, not knowing how to find a way out of this situation. Trump wanted to make Europe bend. He ripped the UK out of the EU. Why would that be necessary if America was aimed at strengthening the European Union? He did rip it out. Betting on who? The Poles. What he doesn't realize is that Germans and Poles are hardened, old, dare I say it, enemies. It's not you don't know it or someone doesn't know it. You just keep quiet. It's true. So why are you splitting Europe? Why are you betting on Poland? Because that's the policy. They'll put you in such a position that you won't get up for decades or centuries. They destroyed your economy. So, they are trying to destroy our economy. Russia and Belarus. Some of the German journalists, perhaps even some present here, wish to visit the southern border for an investigation. The Belarusian-Ukrainian border, however, is closed and heavily guarded by Ukrainian troops. On our side, There are only border guards. I checked today, and our border guards informed me that they not only advised against but outright forbade German journalists from approaching this border. I said, "What are you doing, guys? You've called in journalists and are telling them they can't do something in Belarus. They're not committing terrorist acts, are they? No. So why are you forbidding them? If they want to film, call them and discuss it. You can warn them not to go near the border, but that decision is ultimately up to them. Just warn them. If they're interested, let them go and film. Perhaps we should establish some criteria for democracy. Let's define them and use these criteria to evaluate America, Great Britain, Brussels, and Minsk. Right now, you're providing us with a single criterion to judge our actions while applying a different standard to others. That's not fair. They've created their own narratives and then start discussing them. Do you want, I'll use that obscene term again, OSCE, ODR, to come to us? We've invited them. Come. You invited us too late. Where does it say that we should have invited you yesterday instead of today or tomorrow? You simply didn't want to come, so we didn't go. Why are you shouting about not being invited? We haven't forbidden anyone from entering Belarus. Go and see what the fuss is about after the election. When you're on your business trip, take the opportunity to speak with her. Ask her a question. Maria Kolesnikova, why are you sitting here? She must respond to you. This isn't a question for me. For it to be valid and considered under the law, whether in America, Brussels, or elsewhere, there's a clear rule that we have adopted from you, the Democrats. You need to make an appeal to the person who decides on pardons. If you don't do this, then you're left with no options. We have never abandoned our relations with the West, including Germany. The leading economy, I'm not sure at the moment, maybe not the leading nation in the West. We have always been open to dialogue, but it seems you are not interested. Should we bow before you or crawl on our knees? If you are willing to engage in a conversation, we are open to dialogue with the EU, even with those who have taken aggressive stances towards us. Life changes. We were once at war with the Germans, and there was a time recently when we had good relations. Human memory is such that everything gets erased. The opposition is those who are in the country, and I'm ready to have a dialogue with those on whom something depends. From the opposition inside our country, I know that one of the presidential candidates is Anya Konopatskaya. Listen, she has been criticizing me for probably 15 years without ceasing, and I will tell you frankly that this persistence of hers is supported by some people in our society. I know that. It's up to you, gentlemen Germans, to have a dialogue with them. Don't miss it. They will give you so many problems that you will not be able to wake up afterwards. I have already warned you that you are creating a Gonfalon Corps in Poland and Lithuania, and you have created a Belarusian volunteer corps in Ukraine. Make sure that they do not turn these machine guns against you.
Anti-government demonstrations are now taking place in Slovakia and Serbia. In these countries, these demonstrations are called attempts to overthrow the authorities. At the same time, Belarus is also under pressure, and your colleague mentioned the resolution of the European Parliament, and you also mentioned armed extremists who are preparing against Belarus abroad. In your opinion, are all these actions coordinated? What is their interest and what is their goal? Thank you very much.
These are all actions, believe me. You will believe me, but I want foreigners to believe us that everything is absolutely coordinated, and everything is run from the United States of America, and most of it is financed by United States funds, and sometimes directly through the embassy. SOT, Alexander Lukashenko, Belarusian president, Russian. You must endure. The multipolarity of our planet depends on you today. If China can withstand it, and I'm sure it will, and we are ready to work together in this regard. I'm not afraid of Washington here. Steve Rosenberg, British journalist, would reproach me for that. We are ready to work in this regard. We need multipolarity. A unipolar world will not ensure prosperity for all nations. Ukraine is paying the price for democracy. There were 47 million people. Now there are 20 million. There's no one to fight. They want to fight, but there is nobody to fight with.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to know your opinion. This situation is getting out of reach, in my own opinion. When you cross Sumy, the next city is Kyiv. Do you think Ukraine is going to be able to stand this pressure? Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. It's your boy 7200 signing out. Enough said. But before I go, this is the first and the last time we'll be talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. I just said I should bring it to your notification how I feel, my opinion about this war.